If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. At the opening day of the Cleveland Browns 2025 training camp, all eyes were on Myles Garrett, not just because he's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, but because of what almost wasn't. Just months ago, the idea of Garrett even being at camp felt like wishful thinking. Back in February, as the NFL world buzzed around Super Bowl week in New Orleans, Garrett was thousands of miles from the action, but dominating headlines nonetheless. His appearances on Radio Row weren't to promote the Browns or speak about off-season training, they were to vent frustrations. Garrett made it clear he was unhappy in Cleveland, he wanted out. He believed the franchise had lost its direction and could no longer meet the lofty standards he held for himself or his team. For fans, the gut punch was real. Their superstar was all but gone. The relationship between Garrett and the Browns looked broken, perhaps beyond repair. But then came the twist that no one expected. Just days before the start of the new league year in March, Garrett made a complete 180. In a shocking turn, he agreed to a 4-year, $160 million contract extension with the Browns, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in the league at the time. It wasn't just about money, though the figure certainly didn't hurt. It was a recommitment to a franchise he once believed wasn't capable of winning. For the Browns front office, it was a victory of diplomacy and dollar signs. For Garrett, it was a fresh slate. Whatever tension had filled the winter months suddenly evaporated, replaced with optimism, ambition, and perhaps even belief. And that belief came through loud and clear when Garrett took the podium this week at the cross-country mortgage campus and dropped the kind of statement only a true leader dares to say aloud. "I expect to get to the Super Bowl," Garrett said, with a straight face, his voice steady and his message unmistakable. "That's our expectation every year." In one sentence, Garrett redefined the Browns' 2025 season. He didn't hedge, he didn't qualify, no if we stay healthy or if things go right, just an open challenge to himself and everyone in the building. For a player with his resume four-time All-Pro, multiple double-digit sack seasons, and the league's most disruptive edge rusher, that kind of expectation isn't arrogance. It's a call to arms, and Garrett didn't stop there. "I expect to run it back as Defensive Player of the Year," he added, reinforcing that his personal standards haven't dropped 1 inch. He knows his performance sets the tone for the entire defense, if not the team. There's a gravity when Garrett speaks like that. He's not a cheerleader trying to sell false hope to a city starving for success. He's the kind of player whose presence alone changes game plans. If he tells you he's playing for a Super Bowl, you'd better believe he means it. And if he says he's gunning for another DPOY, quarterbacks across the league should start losing sleep. What makes Garrett's mindset so potent is that he puts the responsibility on his own shoulders. "The team's going to go as I go," he said. It's rare to see a player so comfortable embracing that kind of pressure. But Garrett thrives on it. He wants to be the standard in Cleveland, not just statistically but mentally and emotionally. And when your best player is also your most accountable, it creates a culture that spreads quickly. Still, outside Berea, the narrative is very different. In Vegas and among NFL pundits, the Browns are viewed more as a cautionary tale than a contender. Odds makers have set their 2025 win total at a paltry 5.5 games. Some betting lines even project Cleveland as a frontrunner to land the No. 1 overall pick in next year's draft. That's not just doubt, that's derision. It's based on the wreckage of a 2024 season that ended with just 3 wins and little to no promise. Injuries, inconsistency, and an offense that never found rhythm left the Browns a shell of their former selves. And despite Garrett's dominance, one elite defender wasn't nearly enough to hold the dam together. Still, he kept playing, kept producing, and as it turns out, he kept believing that this team could turn it around. And Garrett knows better than anyone that in the NFL, redemption comes quickly if you're willing to work for it. "I expect to bounce back from last year," he said, "myself and defensively and as a team." He sees the past not as a weight, but as a warning. He understands that the league doesn't wait for anyone, but it also doesn't remember failures for long if you flip the narrative. His belief that Cleveland can become something better isn't just words, it's grounded in experience. It can happen just like that, he noted, snapping his fingers metaphorically, and he's right. The margins in football are razor thin. 1 or 2 plays per game can determine a season. And Garrett wants to be the one making those plays, not just sacks and pressures, but tone-setting moments that make the rest of the team rise with him. What separates Garrett from most star players is that he's not asking for help, he's demanding accountability from himself first and then everyone else. In his 8th NFL season, he's become more than just a face of the franchise, he's the voice of it. Gone are the days of frustration and flirtation with other teams. This version of Garrett is laser-focused, driven not just by personal accolades, but by a desire to drag this franchise toward respectability, or even greatness. "I have to be the very best player I can be every single day," he said. It's a mindset that doesn't allow for shortcuts. It requires consistency, attention to detail, and an ability to lead through both words and action. That's what Garrett is bringing to the Browns this year, a culture of expectation, not just aspiration. And make no mistake, he knows what people are saying. He's heard the jokes, the Browns are the punchline again, but he doesn't care. In fact, he's using that doubt as fuel. Garrett isn't asking for belief from the outside world. He's asking for effort from the locker room. "I think we have guys who are older, understand both sides of the coin," he said. "Veterans who've tasted success and failure alike, players who know how quickly things can change. That kind of emotional intelligence, combined with elite physical talent, can change the entire temperature of a team." Garrett is betting on that. Chemistry, he's betting on experience, on pain turned into motivation, on past disappointment forged into future hunger. That's what defines leaders in the NFL. And Garrett is trying to be that leader every single day, but Garrett also understands that leadership isn't loud. It's not just fire and brimstone speeches in the locker room or showy gestures on Sundays. It's about consistency. "As soon as I step in the building, I have to be the best version of myself," he said. That means showing up early, staying late, mentoring younger players, and putting in the work when no one's watching. That level of commitment is infectious. It forces others to raise their game or risk getting left behind. When your most decorated player holds himself to that standard, the excuses disappear. The culture begins to shift. That's what Garrett is trying to spark in Cleveland, a standard of excellence that supersedes predictions, pundits, and even past failures. It's a tall order. But if anyone can elevate a franchise by sheer force of will, it's him. In the end, Garrett's return wasn't just a contract extension. It was a recommitment to a belief that Cleveland can be more than it's been. And that belief starts with him. He's not naive. He knows the challenges ahead. The AFC is stacked. The Browns' margin for error is slim, and expectations from the outside world are practically subterranean. But none of that matters to Garrett. His mission is clear. Be the best every day and demand the same from everyone around him. Whether that results in a playoff berth or a Super Bowl remains to be seen. But what's undeniable is this: Myles Garrett is all in. And when one of the best players in football says, without hesitation, that he expects to be playing in February, you listen, because belief, especially from someone like him, has a funny way of becoming contagious. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. It's the kind of breaking news that doesn't just shake up the NFL, it sends shockwaves straight through locker rooms, boardrooms, and fantasy drafts alike. Davante Adams, one of the most elite wide receivers in the game today, has reportedly signed with the Cleveland Browns in a stunning turn of events that very few saw coming. After months of speculation surrounding his future with the Las Vegas Raiders, fans and insiders alike expected him to either stay put in Vegas or make a more predictable move to a team like the New York Jets or even the Kansas City Chiefs. But no, out of nowhere, it's the Cleveland Browns who pulled off what many are already calling the heist of the offseason. Sources close to the situation suggest the Browns made an aggressive late push, outbidding everyone and selling Adams on a vision that involves him being the missing piece in a franchise hungry for postseason glory. Now, let's be clear, nothing about this was supposed to happen just a few weeks ago. Insiders reported that the relationship between Adams and the Raiders front office had begun to thaw, hinting at a possible reconciliation. There were talks of Adams staying in Vegas to help develop rookie quarterback Aidan O'Connell, or possibly mentor a veteran brought in through free agency. But things escalated quickly when the Browns entered the chat with an offer that reportedly included a mix of high-end draft picks and a restructured contract guaranteeing Adams more money up front. From what we've been hearing, Adams was intrigued, not just by the money, but also by the idea of playing with Deshaun Watson, who, despite all the controversy, still carries the reputation of being a top-tier quarterback when healthy and focused. That promise of chemistry, combined with a growing offensive arsenal, sealed the deal. The Raiders, for their part, are said to be fuming behind closed doors. They didn't just lose a star, they lost the face of their franchise, the guy they brought in to build around. The wide receiver who gave up playing with Aaron Rodgers to return to his hometown roots. Sources say talks broke down after disagreements on future direction and a lack of clear quarterback stability. Adams, who turns 33 next season, doesn't want to be part of another rebuild. He wants to win now, and the Browns with a healthy Nick Chubb returning, Amari Cooper already in place, and a top-ranked defense offered the most compelling pitch. Raiders fans are understandably heartbroken, and social media is ablaze with both outrage and speculation about what's next for a franchise that seems to be stuck in an endless cycle of hope and heartbreak. But if you think the Raiders are panicking, wait until you hear what's happening in Baltimore. The Ravens, fresh off a disappointing playoff run, had reportedly been in stealth mode pursuing Adams as a secret weapon to pair with Lamar Jackson. Insiders say the Ravens were deep into talks with Adams' agent and were confident that they could close the deal, perhaps even using Odell Beckham Jr. as a lure to create a veteran receiving corps to rival any in the league. Now, with Adams heading to an AFC North rival, the mood in Baltimore has shifted from confident to desperate. One source even said the Ravens were blindsided, and that the front office is scrambling to find a plan B. This isn't just a talent loss, it's a strategic blow in a division where every inch of advantage matters. The Browns, meanwhile, are reveling in their triumph. This is more than just a player signing, it's a statement. After years of being the NFL's punchline, after decades of false dawns and broken rebuilds, Cleveland is finally acting like a serious contender. Bringing in Davante Adams signals to the league, to their fans, and to their competitors that they're not just here to participate, they're here to dominate. Deshaun Watson now has the most explosive target of his career. Kevin Stefanski now has a receiving duo that could terrorize any secondary, and the Browns defense, already among the league's elite, no longer has to carry the entire load. It's the kind of balance championship teams are built on. Cleveland just might be cooking something big. But the question on everyone's mind is this: will it actually work? Chemistry on paper doesn't always translate to wins on the field. Remember the Dream Team Eagles or the OBJ experiment. In Cleveland the first time, talent is only one part of the equation. Adams will have to adjust to a new system, a new quarterback, and an entirely different culture. Deshaun Watson, for all his skills, is still working to get back to his pre-suspension form. And the AFC North is no joke between the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers. It's a brutal division where no lead is ever safe. The Browns are betting big that Adams is the piece that gets them over the hump. If it clicks, it could be magical. If it doesn't, it could be another expensive misstep. Fans are reacting exactly as you'd expect, some with ecstatic joy, others with cautious optimism. Browns Nation is buzzing, with jerseys already being photoshopped, hype videos being made, and playoff dreams being projected. Raiders fans, meanwhile, are in shambles. Their social media pages are filled with disbelief, anger, and a deep sense of betrayal. Some are turning on ownership, blaming Mark Davis for letting yet another star walk out the door. Others are taking a more philosophical route, accepting that Adams deserves a chance to compete at the highest level. And Ravens fans, well, they're somewhere between disbelief and panic, wondering how the team let this opportunity slip through their fingers, while a direct rival got exponentially stronger overnight. It's also worth noting the impact this move could have on the wider NFL landscape. With Adams out of the NFC entirely and now powering up an AFC squad, the conference just got even more loaded. The balance of power in the AFC continues to tilt further and further toward offensive juggernauts. Think about it: Mahomes with Kels, and Hollywood Brown, Josh Allen with Diggs, Burrow with Chase, and now Watson with Adams and Cooper. It's an arms race, and the Browns just added a missile. If you're the Jets, Dolphins, or even the Chargers, you now have to rethink your strategy. Defensive coordinators across the conference just had a very bad day, and don't even get us started on the fantasy football implications. Adams' stock is soaring. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, league insiders are digging into how the Browns pulled this off so quietly. There were no leaks, no pre-signing rumors that gained traction. Nothing. It was like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Some say it's the work of GM Andrew Berry, who has developed a reputation for making bold, calculated moves with a level of secrecy that rivals CIA operations. Others credit Deshaun Watson, who reportedly made a personal pitch to Adams during a private off-season event. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear: the Browns operated in silence and struck with precision. That kind of maneuvering doesn't just earn respect, it scares people. The Browns have arrived at the poker table with a full house, and they're not bluffing. At the end of the day, this is the kind of move that shifts the narrative. The Browns are no longer the team that people laugh at, they're the team people fear. They're the team that just won the biggest offseason battle and left the conference rival scrambling. For Davante Adams, it's a fresh start, a new chapter, and maybe his best shot yet at hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. For the Raiders, it's back to the drawing board. For the Ravens, it's a wake-up call. And for the NFL, it's a new season of drama, unpredictability, and power moves, and we're just getting started. Keep your eyes on Cleveland, folks. Something tells me this story is far from over. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!